Everyone wants games that try something new. It's why we've seen so much for games like Expedition 33 or the excess of the games in the indie scene that create insane pieces of art that are totally original. That originality and lack of constraints is what makes these games so special and is what dooms a lot of franchises. Because franchises can't be great forever, most of the time. They put out one fantastic game and then they're forced into sequel hell just trying to squeeze every ounce of creativity and money out of a game series. And it leaves a sour taste in fans' mouth as they see a franchise that they love for its original creativity and unique direction slowly get diluted over time until it eventually is just laid to rest after a while. Nothing stays dead though in video games, not forever. A game series will always be revived. The most common way we see this happening is with a legacy sequel. A back-to-basic game that brings the tone and ideas of the original back while blazing a new trail forward. Think Resident Evil 7 or God of War 2018. Both new interpretations, but still very much in the same world and core of what came before. But what if we scrapped everything? You throw away all the lore, all the storylines, you unchain yourself from what came before, and allow the franchise to do something completely new. A full-on reboot. This is something that even the bravest game studios are scared to do, because it's telling the franchise that in order for it to survive, that it needs to untether itself from what came before, and usually what came before is what made fans love it in the first place. But what if a reboot was so strong with its direction, tone, emotion, and gameplay combined with one of the greatest soundtracks that it ended up not only being the best game in the franchise, but saved a franchise that was completely dead in the water? Doom, in order to survive, had to kill itself, and in the ashes, the phoenix rose out of it. They burned down the legacy, and not only did it not doom them, it showed them how one reboot could save the franchise. Doom 2016 is an action game that id Software themselves describe as popcorn horror. It throws out all the baggage from the original games and went absolutely back to basics, with Doom Guy being the only character continuity-wise from the original game series that is exactly the same. The premise of the franchise is that you are Doom Guy, and all you do is kill demons. The game starts out instantly with you waking up as him, getting a gun, seeing a demon invasion and progress sign, and moving everything out of the way so you can go kill demons. The first moments of the game re-emphasizing the main philosophy at the front of this game and its development: push forward. And that philosophy came from how Doom 2016 originally wasn't going to be a reboot. Doom 2016 started off as a failed Doom sequel game. Doom was originally meant to be Doom 4, a game that would take place on Earth and would be a cinematic, large in scope, and being like a Call of Duty meets War of the Worlds. Yet it lost the tone and style that Doom was known for and was eventually scrapped. That though didn't mean the development time of that game was wasted. Instead, Doom 2016 takes the scraps of what came before in the series and throws it into a big ol' amazing stew. The violence, the action, the quick gameplay, the glory kills, these were all elements from previous different games and then remixed with this refocused heavy metal tone mainly driven by the extremely metal world design and incredible soundtrack that is the glue that holds the game together. Because the story of Doom 2016 is paper thin. Demons are invading Mars, go stop them by any means necessary. The plot is meant to get the Doomslayer out of his chair and put you, the player, into the driver's seat. The first-person, action-intensive gameplay is about you feeling like the slasher in a horror film, flying through levels, quickly dominating everything that stands in your way. What this game establishes is a super fun and bombastic action tone that gives you a power fantasy in the deepest depths of hell. And that love and care by the developers in every level is so overflowing, it allows us to buy into this game even though it's pretty silly and every level looks like an Iron Maiden rejected album cover. Doom is about putting the most intensive detail in the level design and characters and world and allowing you to fly past it, letting the environment and the character design of the world end up telling the story. The story is there for you if you want to engage with it. There's audio and visual logs that can be completely skipped and walked by if you don't care, like the Doomslayer. There are codexes that reveal the story only for those that really want to learn more about it, but the game never wants to stop your momentum. The game is so fast-paced, throwing so many new and fun ideas and just never allowing you to get bored. The developers knew if you ended up getting bored in this game, you'll just go play something else, so they never let the creativity in this game ever stop. It's the Mad Max Fury Road of video games. You think it's run out of ideas, and then it goes, here's 2 more for y'all. Doom wants you to have fun more than anything. If you're scared or nervous or anxious, the game has failed. It's a power fantasy that is supposed to challenge you, but never frustrate you. The game is focused on putting you in the flow state of jumping into these combat arenas, finding the flow with the combat chess puzzle of killing demons, rushing them for ammo and finding armor while the music blasts in the environmentally dense area at super speed, never allowing the game to slow down. And as you start to understand the dance that Doom is presenting, it ends up being bizarrely relaxing as you enter this sort of flow state. And that's why its sequel ended up releasing with Animal Crossing as the two largest comfort games that came out during COVID. And Doom has such a unique identity and emotion for a first-person shooter that it makes Doom 2016 stand out a decade later. Its failure to really conform to a lot of AAA standards of what a story-based first-person shooter can be is what makes the game remain so special. The tone that Doom puts off, I know, can be off-putting. The overly hot topic energy and demons and gore and intense blood and guts with intense heavy metal music blasting over the top, with one of the best soundtracks in any other video game by Mick Gordon playing, is off-putting to some people. Like, if my grandma saw this game, it would probably be a sign that the end times were near. But for me, this is my happy place. Doom is so confident with what it's delivering that it makes a reboot that went over perfectly. It took everything that came before, it took the best parts and shoved it into one of the most perfect action shooters ever created, and made itself stand apart because of it. If you want to go back and watch the development of this game, you can see the fear the studio had in making it so unique. The intense heavy soundtrack of the original game was originally not wanted, with Mick Gordon having to fight to make it more metal because the original developers thought this was going to be too cliche. They didn't want any cutscenes because they felt it was going to take away from the self-centered idea that the Doomslayer wasn't that interesting of a character and you really wanted to be in his shoes. They wanted short codexes that would fill in the world and the whole story would be told through the environment so players would never end up getting bored. So instead they opted to tell their entire story through the environment and codexes. These are strong, bold choices that would make Doom stand out 10 years later as one of the most interesting first-person shooters to ever be created, and also all of these things are choices that would end up being reversed in the next two Doom games after the reboot. They wanted a soundtrack that wouldn't be metal, with Mick Gordon having to fight to put heavy guitars into the soundtrack because they thought it would end up being too cliche. But because he fought for that, the game ended up having one of the best soundtracks of all time. Doom 2016 now has two sequels, with Doom Eternal that came out in 2020 and Doom the Dark Ages, which just released recently. But both of them focused more on cutscenes and third-person narratives for their stories, and with the latter, it eventually led to id destroying their relationship with Mick Gordon, who made both soundtracks for Doom and Doom Eternal because they treated him so poorly. And both of those games are great, but they do end up falling into a little more conventional for AAA standards, with each one getting closer to the industry standard as the franchise moves further away from Doom 2016, which is a similar fate that happened to the original Doom game. But that is why Doom 2016, a decade later, just like the first Doom game, is so special. It completely changed the video game landscape. With the biggest risk on the line for it as a company, they decided to completely push forward. If you're going to go out as a studio, you might as well go down swinging. They decided to completely push everything into this game, making it their biggest risk, putting everything on the line, and doing everything other video game studios are telling them not to do. Make a huge game that relies completely on gameplay, takes itself seriously, have a killer soundtrack that overplays most of the game, and then trust the audience that they're going to get it. That style and originality and trust that was there in Doom 2016 was truly lightning in a bottle. And while the Doom franchise will continue to keep growing and keep reinterpreting one of the most fun video game characters to ever date, I don't think they'll ever make a Doom game that I love more than Doom 2016. Doom 2016 is one of, and is still, even for id, Bethesda, Xbox, the only reboot game to save a franchise.